Okay, everybody, here we go. Welcome to episode 1 of the Good Candy Podcast. I am Curtis Candy, and you will naturally think that, oh, okay, now I get it. Good Candy, Curtis Candy, yeah, it all goes together. Yeah, somewhat, but the Good Candy Podcast is actually based on the fact that many years ago, my son and I made a music video in questionable taste that we posted to our YouTube channel, the same YouTube channel where the podcast episodes here are recorded, and the song was horrific. It demonstrated my utter lack of musical talent, and I think it did it forcefully. But the messaging was equally abhorrent in that it was just the message of the song was it's okay to get into the candy van, the white windowless van, as long as the candy inside is brand name makers. I stand by that to this day. If you got Hershey bars in there, if you got peanut butter cups in there, hell, if you got Almond Joy and Mounds, I should be getting a kickback for these things. If you got Almond Joy and Mounds in there, can you fault somebody for getting in? But if you get in there and you got those 10-pound bags of shit candy that you can buy for like $1.99 at Walmart, and it's loaded with that, like rip-off Smarties, because Smarties themselves aren't gross enough. They're actual rip-off, like Chinese Smarties. If you got them, no, you're not getting in that van. So anyway, that was the theming of the song. I thought, well, what a perfect backdrop as far as motif, as far as ideology for the stream than the legendary Good Candy song. Now, the format here, I will be babbling on about topics of the day, but I will be pausing in my babble every so often to take a look at our chat here at the YouTube channel and be responding, to get feedback on the things I'm saying, see where other people agree, whether they disagree, whatever. But that way, I think it keeps things popping along. We've got a lot of really bright people that are members of this channel, and we've got a lot of really demented people who are members of this channel. So it makes for a good mix, because sometimes that's the same person, the bright one and the demented one. So yeah, and as Chrome, one of our moderators here says, "Oh, so don't get in the van for Mr. Beast bars or Prime bot." Right, exactly. Yeah, that would be low grade stuff. Now wait. Do I have to fight one of the Paul brothers now? Not that I would mind. I'm too old. They would win, but I wouldn't fight fair, and I won't go into details any further than that. But yeah, this is the Good Candy Podcast. For those of you who are listening and don't have visuals, I am sitting in what is an old van with candy inside of it. Rumor will tell you that it's a van that that beckoned to me in my younger days, and I have since the previous owner is in prison, I have since purchased it, but that's not what happened at all. All right, let's get started. First item on the agenda today is we got a new pope, which I should let you guys know right off. I'm not a religious person at all. I mean, this is a big deal. I guess there's almost a couple billion Catholics in the world, so it's a pretty big deal. They got a new boss. I'm not religious. I'm an atheist. It's not something I talk about a lot because, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not a fan of the outlook and means of conducting themselves of many, many, many other atheists. As a matter of fact, I feel more of a kinship towards people who do have religious beliefs. I don't believe simply because I believe in the scientific theory, and that's just way more fascinating to me as well, the scientific theory of how we all came to be. So I'm not one of these non-believers who immediately wants to throw stones at everybody who does believe, and this is what I see a lot of from atheists, is sitting on their high horse, looking down upon those who do believe as being inferior intellectually or whatever the case may be. And that's not me at all. The people who are most important to me, who I love most in life, are religious people. So I don't have an issue. I don't have an issue with religion in general at all. It brings a lot of people peace. And we're all just trying to find a little bit of that. So if it brings you peace, makes you feel good, that's fine. I only have issue with religion when religion is used to hurt others. But outside of that, I don't care. So Curtis. So what the hell? Why are you even talking about the new pope then? Because this is something that, and I really want to get your feedback on this. The thing about religion in general, or in this case, we're talking about the pope. I wouldn't be comfortable in any situation putting so much faith into some dude. And again, I'm not trying to demean him. This would be in any manner, not just because it happens to be the Pope. But he's just a guy, and it's like you got a lot of people, a big number of people who are likely going to shape their lives and their worldviews around his, or at least have it heavily influenced by his. And what do we really know about this dude? You know what I'm saying? On a personal level, because unfortunately we see it all the time. When I grew up, you were told you had to respect your teachers, respect people in authority, which is a good thing to a degree. But back then, it was you respected them no matter what. And if they were deviants and scumbags and those who would victimize you as a child, more often than not, you are not believed because, no, that can't be true. That's a teacher. Teachers don't do that. Now, you just run along and shut up. So we need to have the realization in the world that no matter what status someone achieves, it doesn't mean that there's not a dark side. It doesn't mean that while you can give someone initial respect for their position that they hold, I wouldn't be comfortable with just saying, this guy, I saw the smoke. The cardinal said he's cool. Hey, you know what? I'll just, whatever he says, I'm gonna try and live my life by those standards. I would have an issue with that. Now, number two, and I don't know how true this is. I did some research, not as much as I should have. I know there are accusations that the new pope had been involved in cover-ups as far as priests behaving inappropriately with children. I don't know if that's true, and let me make that in no uncertain terms. I know it's being alleged all over the place. Big deal. Shit gets alleged all over the place all the time. If, however, that is true, then I have a serious issue. I think as a society, the one thing that should be above all others is protecting the children. And if that is indeed the case, now I would have a serious problem with a couple billion people hanging on every word this guy has to say and, actually crying in the streets because they're so overwhelmed with emotion that they have a new spiritual leader. So let me, I'm going to turn now a little bit. If you guys have anything that you want to say regarding this in the chat, we're going to take some of your comments. And now, as I read these comments, that will get me going off in other directions as well, or even in the same direction, but with another long diatribe. So buckle in. Jill says, I've been hearing that he's actually fairly progressive. I've heard that too. Same current as Francis. He decided to address Peru directly in Spanish during his speech instead of doing it all in Italian. That's interesting. I've heard that too, that he's somewhat progressive. I would think for a religious leader, that's probably not a surprise, right? Because even though with religion is related to conservatism much more so, it's not a stretch to say that people of God might have liberal social ideas. But that's just I think now, more than any time in my life, that is like the base of everything. No matter what happens, no matter what news event happens, no matter what's going on, it's okay. Does this help this side or does that help that side? It's never been to this extreme before. So immediately when you have somebody who, again, has the ear of a couple billion people, that's the first thing, at least here in America, everybody wants to know, okay, is that good for my team or is that better for the other team? And Lix says, I mean, progressive by the church stands as not being an active PDF file. Either way, people on Twitter are already calling him a woke Marxist. Yeah, well, that's the thing too, Lix. We all know it's going to be everything is going to be exaggerated to extremes. We will be covering in the podcast how just abysmal of a place social media is, and specifically X, Twitter. And it's not because of any design of the format, it's because of the people who populate it and the rage engagers who unfortunately are able to effectively craft a lot of the discourse in America, well, in the world. And it's strictly for the clicks, and that's a little unsettling. And we have a super chat coming in. This is from Andrew Wilson. And Andrew says, Pope's first act is making thin crust a mortal sin. Well, that's well said. For those of you who don't know, Chicago is renowned for their deep dish pizza. So, and this Pope being from Chicago, yes, that would, and oh, you know, I it's in the description, and it will always be a credo of these podcasts. This is not for the easily offended. I'm going to say what I think, what I feel, and if somebody's feelings are hurt, I really don't care. I mean, so what? You get your feelings hurt. I've had my feelings hurt before too. Who gives a shit? But that said, what I was about to say almost makes me take pause, because I'm sure there's a lot of people in Chicago who can beat me up, but I don't like Chicago-style pizza. But I was born and raised in New York, not in the city, but in the state of New York. And the deep dish pizzas have, even now, when I order my pizza, it's easy on the sauce. It's light on the sauce. And not just because I'm old and my stomach can't handle anything anymore. Getting old turns you into a bitch. I need that put on a t-shirt. Getting old turns you into a bitch, because it does. You can't eat the right things anymore or anything. But all I'm trying to say is, yeah, the deep dish pizza is not my thing. So but I can see the Pope, boy, one of these pizza places got to get a hold of him for a gig as a front man. And that could be bigger than having Shaq. Nah, nothing's bigger than having Shaq represent your product. That's as big as it gets. But that's my, I will on the regular, especially with the chat here, I will go off in other directions. But that's my concern. Is it a good thing to have that many people influenced by one man who really nobody knows that much about? And then when I think about it, you could say the same thing for politicians. I mean, at least they're elected into office. I don't know that that's much better, because they're elected into office, but at least here in America, and I know a lot of other places around the world are the same, the powers that be within the two major parties make sure that it's only certain people that can get those nominations. So in that sense, it's not much different than the Pope. It's not us who's really deciding. I'm sure there are much, much better people. Positive. There are much better people out there, for instance, to hold the office of President of the United States. but it'll never be a possibility because of the machine that's in place right now. And Hannibal says the Pope may be a White Sox fan, but even he can't remove the curse on that franchise. Listen, if all of a sudden, all I can say is I'm not a believer, but Hannibal makes a good point. If all of a sudden the White Sox started winning and they make this like 1969 Mets-esque run to the World Series, I might have to revisit my views on everything. I might have to come out here and do a podcast where I just grovel at the Pope's feet because he's got more abilities than I ever would have imagined. He's got something going on there. If you can make the White Sox a winner, a champion, I'm not messing with you. And Jill says, my suspicion is that we'll mostly see a staying of the course relative to Francis, but that he'll be quiet about it when it comes to things. Interesting. And again, now let me be clear too. This guy might be one of the greatest dudes you'll ever meet. All I keep talking about are the possible negatives. Maybe he's a phenomenal human being, and he's going to be great for those however couple billion people. My only concern is it seems like just religious leaders in general. It's one thing, if your religion, whoever is at the top of your religion, whether it's Jesus or Muhammad or whoever, those people are revered because of what the believers believe they have done. Whereas here, when you're talking, and again, the Pope or the leader of any major religion, it's just a dude, just a regular old guy. And I don't know and maybe that's why one of the reasons why I'm not religious. I can't see me having my opinions, my morality, anything swayed by one man that I really don't know that much about. Chrome says he's one of the people pushing mass migration into the U.S. Is that true? Now, see, and Chrome usually is, she's one of our mods here. She's a regular here. She usually has good information. Now, no matter who states it in the chat, if I don't know something to be true or false, obviously I will set it forth as just being said by somebody in the chat. If what Chrome's saying is true, I would have an issue with that. Yeah, I have a major issue with that. And I would have an issue with that not only because I'm a hardliner on immigration, but he should just butt out of that. It's none of his concern. What we have to deal with in America every day, as far as migrants, be they legal or illegal, is really none of his business or concern to me. And Jill also says his first act is to turn water into Budweiser. The jokes kind of write themselves with him being from Chicago. There's a lot to work with there. And Lick says, what if David Bowie is at the top of my religion? Well, I think we have more background on David Bowie than we do this Pope. But I'm not sure that's, in David Bowie's case, I'm not sure that's a good thing. But my biggest concern with him is, and I haven't been able to find out if this is true or not, anybody over the years in any religion, but obviously it's Catholics who have been at the forefront of dealing with this, anybody who has protected those who have victimized children in any way is a scumbag as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying the new Pope did. Don't get me wrong. Because it being said on social media means nothing. We all know no matter what major event comes out, the misinformation from both sides of the political aisle is always going to be rampant. So just because that's being said on social media, it doesn't mean it's the case. I'm just saying if it should be the case, that's a major, major issue. Now, Hannibal says, I'm a Protestant, but also someone with a history. I can't help but respect a nearly 2,000-year-old institution. That's fair. I reserve any personal feelings on a pope till they actually do something. Oh, with a history degree, he meant. That's fair. That's a very fair way to look at it. Again, the only thing that I have even heard, read, rumored about him that's of any concern is, again, did he protect those who were victimizing children? But again, I don't know that to be the case at all. And Chrome says, yes, and Catholic charities are one of the bigger pushers of mass migration into the U.S. Well, yeah, we definitely part ways there. To say the least, we definitely part ways there. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but I'm going to watch the White Sox the rest of the season. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Let me take a quick peek. Now, when did Popinski here take? I shouldn't say things like that. Sounds disrespectful as hell. When did he become Pope? Was it yesterday or the day before? Let's check the scores. Which day did he actually take over, guys? 'Cause I got to check here. If it, day before, so it was Wednesday. Look at that. It's Friday. Chrome said it was the day before yesterday, and immediately my brilliant mind went, Wednesday. I'm good. All right. How did the White Sox do on... Okay, Pope, you better start grinding here because the Royals beat them 2-1. More good old White Sox. Big run scorers they are. Big on offense. Well, maybe it took a day. How'd they do yesterday? No, yesterday they lost 10-0. I'm thinking the Pope. Well, he's not off to a fast start. He's not a front runner. If we're measuring the Pope by the success of his White Sox, he's going to have to be a late closer because it looks like early on here, things aren't going well. And who are they? Let's see. Who are you guys playing today? I can't find them. Did they fold the White Sox? Just said, now forget it. Oh no, they're playing the Marlins today at 7:40. Keep an eye on that, guys. But they might have taken that 2-1 and 10-0 loss just as a setup. It would be too flashy for the Pope to come in and just have them start winning left and right. So they're probably gonna pace themselves, continue to be well below mediocrity, and then come with a crush at the end. That's what we're going with. All right. Okay, let's move on. Topic number 2. Have you guys seen there's a new statue in Manhattan? I saw this picture, and I haven't looked into a lot of the details around it, and I've got the picture posted for those watching the stream. This is a new statue, apparently, it looks like in the Times Square district of New York City. It's an African-American woman, very plainly dressed, t-shirt, like sweatpants, stretch pants maybe, just kind of what women would commonly wear now. Kind of on the heavy side. Hands on hips, looking kind of indignant. What is that statue supposed to represent? I am just so confused by this. And this is legit. I just have no idea what's going on here. What is this statue for? Now, I heard I heard it said, and again, read it on social media. Again, we're talking social media here. But I read that it was because I guess there's a couple of statues in that same area, and I should know. I spent so much time in Times Square, I should know, of a couple of old white dudes. Most statues in this country are of old white dudes. But that's an odd way to approach, I guess, bringing diversity into it. And the only reason I say that is, if you wanted to recognize people of color, or specifically black people, or whatever the case may be, there are plenty of black women who are well deserving of a statue. I mean, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman spring to mind immediately. Hell, if you wanted to get more recent, you could, as loved as Michelle Obama is, especially in New York City, it's kind of weird to have. And somebody, I had to laugh. Somebody on social media said that she looks like she's asking to speak to the manager, and she does. This statue does look like she's being very indignant at Arby's, and that she didn't get the Arby's sauce, she got horseradish or something instead. This is just kind of it's just kind of bizarre. I think they wanted to make a point socially, and instead they just created something that's just going to bring a lot of ridicule. Why wouldn't you create the statue of someone known and loved and respected rather than just somebody's imagination of a current indignant woman? Jill says she looks like she's about to tell somebody. Yeah, I'm. It's that's exactly. And Big Green says, yeah, why isn't it a statue of an actual person? And as near as I can tell, it is not, unless somebody knows more about this than do I. And if not, here in the chat, once this video goes up at the channel, maybe somebody can fill me in more. But it just what I'm thinking here is, as everything is, it's obviously in New York is very liberal. I'm thinking it's a political statement. It's probably designed to try and really ruffle the feathers of the conservatives. But my point is, I don't think you did the right thing. You want to ruffle the feathers of the conservatives, create a statue of Michelle Obama. That would have got them all wound up. I think this isn't really ruffling feathers. It's more likely to just make people kind of laugh, because it isn't a specific person. And the way they created the statue with it, I don't know. It looks like somebody who's really pissed off and wants to see the manager now. That's what it seems to be. Nick says they should have made a statue of SpongeBob instead. Well, but that's the case anywhere, anytime. A SpongeBob statue would be amazing no matter what the situation. So that's just, yeah. Big Green says it's just confusing me as well. And again, I'm not. This isn't designed to demean anybody or anything or any concept. I just have no idea how this works. And I get that. Okay. And again, I think with New York being as liberal as it is, I think what they were trying to do is just ruffle feathers, which is fine. But I think he did a really bad job of it. Hannibal says the main thing I'm seeing people use it for is taking pictures of it with the ads to say she's either endorsing it or calling it out. Yeah, it's. Oh, that's and J Dog says, I'm not sure if it's meant to honor or insult people. Yes, is she supposed to be? That's Jay brings up an interesting perspective on that, because we're used to statues being erected to honor an individual or a people. Maybe this statue is put there to like scold a certain sector of society. You got the two old white men statues apparently in the area. Maybe she's scolding the old white men. I don't know, because it looks like a scolding posture. It looks like she's really annoyed with something. And as far as that scenario I ran with Arby's, I'll be fair. If Arby's gets my order wrong, I'm going to be pissed off too. Because there's a good chance when I die, it's going to be from Arby's roast beef just shutting down my everything. Just shutting down the blood flow throughout my entire body. One big giant Arby's aneurysm. Blood clot, whatever. So I would be pissed off too. But I don't think anybody will make a statue of me being. Maybe they will. Who knows? And and appropriately named Meat Man says, "Well, you went to Arby's, so you took that risk, right? You, I'm surprised you don't have to, because when I go to Arby's, and you have I think it's the 3 different sizes of the roast beef sandwiches. I get the half pounder. I ain't none of that pussy stuff. Give me the goddamn half pounder. Throw a shit ton of curly fries in there. I can't believe they don't make me sign a waiver. I mean, I've done things way less dangerous than that before, and there was all kinds of legal paperwork I had to complete before I could partake. So I'm really surprised. I'm never asked to sign anything. Lick says, "Can I just say, it's funny to me how right-wingers are so willing to label leftists as easily offended snowflakes, and yet they're the ones who are throwing a tantrum over a statue of a black woman. Are they?" Lick, I haven't seen a lot of tantrum throwing about this yet, but in fairness, I haven't seen a lot about it. I saw the picture and grabbed the picture because it confused me. Read up a little, and all I could find was that it was in response to there being, and I don't even know if this is true, but somebody said it was in response to there being a couple statues of old white men there. But Lex, wouldn't you agree though? Wouldn't it? Because that was probably, because Lex says there's right wingers throwing a tantrum about it. Wouldn't you agree that was probably by design, especially being in New York, as liberal as New York is? And wouldn't you also agree it would have been much more effective if they'd have got somebody that really flips the trigger of the right wingers? Like, again, Michelle Obama is the best example I can give, and she would certainly be deserving. I mean, the first black first lady of America. I just think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I just think they kind of swung and missed a little with what they were trying to do here. But maybe it just being some random black woman, maybe that's more effective. Chrome says, "I disagree with you on that. They intentionally chose not to base it on any one person for a reason." Oh, no, I agree they did it for a reason. I don't think the reason was a good one. I think maybe I'm wrong. As I think about it, maybe it just being a random person, maybe that hits those who they wanted to offend harder. I just same as what Big Green's saying. I just don't get it. I mean, Big Green says, "I just do not get it, but I wish you would stop staring at me, judging me. What are you looking at, lady?" Yeah, it does look like. I mean, if I were to walk up into that section of town and all of a sudden see that statue standing there, I would immediately be browbeaten a little. I'd be looking, oh, she knows what I did. And I'd be trying to figure out what exactly I did. Because it's like, it's like when you're a kid and you just did something you're not supposed to do, and there's your mom standing there waiting for you to get home with her hands on her hips, and you're like, oh, crap. Or maybe you didn't even do something, but you just know from that look that she thinks that you did, and you're trying to figure out what it is. Nacho Dragon quoting Patrick from SpongeBob. "It's just standing there menacingly." Yeah. a good quote. Again, it doesn't bother me. I just don't think they did a good job of getting the effect that they wanted from it. But again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is better to just have it be somebody random. Kaz has submitted a super chat. I appreciate that, Kaz. And Kaz says, "I'm more offended as a retail worker than as someone on the center right." Well said. What Kaz is saying is he's seen too much of this. It just looks, the person they've created here looks too Karenish. And as a retail worker, he's seen that look too many times. He's been scolded by that. That's immediately what I thought as it started to unfold for me. And I was thinking about it. It's like, wow, if you wanted to get at the conservatives, Michelle Obama would have been the move. I mean, as somebody who leans conservative, I get disgusted by the things that are said about Michelle Obama all the time. But she's just so under their skin, it just seemed like it would have been the perfect move. And Lex, also a super chatted. Thank you, Lex. Says, I mean, granted, you're not a fat black lady, Curtis. True. I am fat, but not a black lady. True. If they made a statue of a fat old weeb, it might speak to you more. That's true. Yeah, if it was a statue, I don't think there aren't a lot of us old weebs though. From what I can find, Lex, I have to hang out with younger people all the time if I want to talk anime. But yeah, if it was a statue of somebody, even this same lady, even if it was the same lady, and she had on like a Hunter x Hunter t-shirt or had Goku on her shirt, all right, maybe it is. Maybe I'm just not connecting because it doesn't speak to me properly. That's entirely possible. And Jiggy, also with a super chat, appreciated, says, as a former Geek Squad agent, the last thing I want to see is a Karen statue. Oh, you worked as a Geek Squad member? See, that's what we're getting from all the retail crew here, the retail working crew. If you haven't seen this, if you're just listening to the podcast, you need to look it up. Won't be hard to find. Just put statue Times Square, statue New York City, whatever. But she definitely looks annoyed. And even looks a little condescending, wouldn't you guys say? I don't know. It just struck me as so strange. Again, if, as Lix has said, if it's got the conservatives losing their mind, then probably accomplish what they were trying to do. As again, I said it before, but with New York City being as liberal as it is, I can imagine that was at least part of the idea. And Jay Irvin, also with a super chat, appreciated, says, but we don't have one of Akira Toriyama. That would get people together more than this. Yes, for those of you who aren't anime fans, Akira Toriyama is a creator we recently lost, and a brilliant writer, creator. Chrome says, I just want to remind people, it was inspired by Michelangelo's David. Really? Is that what the official stance? Understand why and you get the meaning? I see what you're saying. I don't know. I still think more effective if it was a name that would get them twisted. But Chrome says it is absolutely inspired by that. All right, so yeah, makes more sense to. So basically, they were trying to accomplish along the lines of just what I thought they were. Yes, Akira Toriyama was an international treasure. I agree, David. Absolutely. All right. Well, now we have one more topic, and then don't bail out when we get to the end of that topic, because before we leave, I have a video just for fun that I have to show you guys at the end. At the end as well. We're gonna move on to one of my favorite topics right now, most annoying topics right now. Let me move the statue off here. I saw this video. Many of you know I am dead set against protesters being allowed to block traffic. I am all for you protesting, whatever you want to protest, but life is just too hard, too annoying, too difficult to navigate for all of us to have to deal with your whiny asses blocking us from getting to work, from getting to pick up our children, whatever the case may be. And I also firmly do not believe in the sincerity of many of these protesters. It is my take that a majority of them are just life's losers who are looking for other people to bond with and get a little attention for themselves. Because there is absolutely no way whatsoever that by blocking traffic, you bring people over to your way of thinking. And the whole retort of, yeah, but it got you talking about it, right? No, that's not effective. Getting someone talking about it and talking about it uniformly across the board as I hate these people and I hate that they do this shit does not bring sympathy to your movement. But here's the video I'm talking about. Now, this is taking place over in Germany. I know we have at least one German person in here. Big Green is from Germany. Let me pull up that video. It's this video here now. Again, I know this doesn't do anything for those of you who are listening just to the podcast, but it's basically just a video of people in Berlin trying to pull these protesters off the road because they've just simply had enough. But the disturbing thing is the police are stopping the people who are trying to move them and doing nothing to the protesters. I'm all for it. Look at the cop. He's ripping at this guy's arm for pulling this asshole out of the road. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. And I don't speak German. Maybe Big Green can translate some of this and tell me what they're saying. But the people are basically saying they want them the fuck out of the way, and the cops saying leave them alone, protecting the protesters and the protesters only. That's the cops screaming at this lady for trying to move them. I don't get this. I don't understand this. This absolutely blows my mind. Why are cops protecting people sitting in the street? Now, I can't speak to Germany. In America, you have the right to protest. You do not have the right to break laws in the pursuit of that protest. And they do the same things here. The same exact things here. The cops come out and protect the yo-yos who are sitting in the street. My personal opinion, I have to be careful how I say this because we are on YouTube. My personal opinion is, from the time you're a little kid, you would hope, the vast majority of us, have had parents, brothers, sisters, role models who tell us, the road is where the cars drive. Be very careful when crossing the road. Look both ways. Make sure you don't get hit by a car. If you can overcome all of that and sit your stupid ass down in the road where you know the cars are driving, if something bad happens to you, that's Darwinism. It's not a tragedy. It's something that was bound to happen. You asked for it to happen. I have no use for these people whatsoever. None. And I don't care what the cause is. I don't care what they're protesting. And I'm all for their ability to protest. I am not for their ability to make an already pain in the ass day-to-day life for all of us that much more of a struggle. That's before you even start talking about how many times have they prevented emergency vehicles from getting to the needed emergency. And you don't know what's going on in somebody's life. Again, I think back to the times I've been most frantic. Like, I can remember years ago when my oldest daughter, I got called from work because she was having a seizure. And I just remember that trip home being a nightmare. You couldn't get home fast enough. It's your child, and they're having a major medical event. And they'd already called the hospital, so now I'm zooming to try and get to the hospital. And I try and put myself in that position. I don't know what I would do if those people were in the way while I was going to do that. I actually probably do, but I can't say it. I just have absolutely no use for these people whatsoever, and it pisses me off that the authorities do nothing about it. Now, again, they're probably their hands are tied by those in positions of authority, or by those in government. But then those in government should have to go. But if any Big Green or anybody else here from Germany that knows Germany well, this seems to be an ongoing thing here. Is that the case throughout Germany? It's just like, oh no, just let them do what they want and we'll protect them? Let me see now. I'm going to scroll up here and see if I can find. Okay, Big Green said there's not much to translate, just lots of swearing. The police telling people to stop tugging at the protesters and them responding with, then do something. I can't imagine their frustration. And we see it here in America. The same things go on here. I do think from what I've seen, the protesters picked their spots fairly well. you will generally see the protests of this nature where they're blocking traffic taking place in places like, say, New York City or Portland or someplace in the Pacific Northwest. I don't think it would be as likely to happen in a Florida or most of Texas because I don't think the protections would be quite the same for them. But I'm curious, and I know the majority of people here, I'm already seeing it in the chat, agree with me. Is there anybody who disagrees with me? Am I wrong about this? I mean, is whatever their cause may be, I think this is the Just Stop Oil people. Is their cause so important that they should be allowed to just disrupt everybody else's daily life because that somehow is going to bring the attention to their plight, to their cause? I don't see any way it brings any type of you really think you're going to leverage people into voting a certain way and affecting the changes you want made because you just disrupted their day-to-day life? Nifmaster says, I didn't know about this. It was also the German cop who pulled a German from a knife attacker. The attacker then deadly stabbed the cop. Are you serious? So, okay, if I'm understanding you, so there was somebody attacking with a knife. A citizen, am I getting this right, Nifmaster? A citizen was trying to or was subduing him, and the cop pulled off the one who was subduing the knife attacker and then got stabbed. Yeah, Big Green also, again, as I said, Big Green is from Germany. He said, yeah, that happened. Uh, what is wrong with people? People have lost their minds. Whatever happened to just some basic human concepts like if you do a bad thing, then there is a punishment to be paid, a punishment to be meted out. People now, so often they do something horrific and there is an active part of society that immediately wants to paint them as a victim. Oh, that's sad. Now, Big Green, again, somebody from Germany says, Germany is flushing itself down the toilet, Curtis. That's terrible. I mean, that infuriated me, just even seeing that. And Kaz brings a super chat. Thank you for that, Kaz. He said, "Just Stop Oil people should do the scrap in Alberta and see what happens." Now, see, I'm not familiar with the dynamics of how the political leanings, what have you, of certain parts. So, Alberta is more, I would take it than like our Florida with DeSantis in charge, or like Texas. Yeah, because it wouldn't fly well there either. And Empire Chef, again, thank you for the super chat, says, "Get out of my forking way." Yeah. I don't ever want to be in that situation because I genuinely, if I'm the one of the front cars there that's being held up, I honestly, and I'm just being upfront with you guys, I don't know that I could just sit in my car and wait for the road to be cleared. Now, I'm not admitting that I would take any type of action that that would make the result in felony charges, but I can definitely picture myself taking an action. That's. Oh, okay. I understand now, Cass. Kaz says Alberta is Canada's main oil producer. People there are super pro oil. Ah, okay. Duh. I should have figured as much. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think they're generally pretty careful about picking their spots. We see now in America, we don't. International news coverage is the shits. But we see a lot of, I'm sure it's overblown to a certain degree. It's just like what I know a lot of people internationally have the take that in America schools get shot up every day and there's danger on the streets, and of course that's all very isolated. It's horrible stuff, but it's all very isolated. It's not the day-to-day life here. But we've been seeing more and more from Europe, whether it's this in Germany or over in the UK, about things just going off the rails there. And at times I get concerned. I think, geez, it's too bad it's happening everywhere. But then I wonder if it isn't just the fact that that's what sells. I mean, that's what gets clicks. You know, talking about things going well or the things that work are never going to get anybody a lot of clicks, so you're never going to see them. Big Green says, listen, Curtis, we in Germany can't focus on minor things like that. We have to talk about old children's songs that are problematic now. That's more important. So you guys are dealing with all that stuff too? They were trying to cancel, remember a few years ago, they tried to cancel Baby It's Cold Outside around Christmas time here because it sounded creepy. Fortunately, that was one of the few times that it didn't land. Our society in general stood up and said, shut the fuck up. It's not creepy. They're in a relationship and the dude's like, come on, he's trying to get a little something from her. That's tale as old as time. Goes back to the cavemen. Back then though, from what I understand from my hieroglyphics, is of course they just drag the woman by the hair, which now we kind of draw our lines there, but I lived in California too, Jiggy, but it was prior to things being in as much upheaval as they are now. Well, actually in between. Because in California, prior to me living there, you had a lot of major upheaval with the hippies and Berkeley and everything. And I was there in the late 70s to very early 80s. And it was kind of in somewhat of a lull before it got back to where it is again today. Oh, and Nifmaster makes a point, says, WAP was in the charts during that time, much less offending. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, WAP is a song that was recently popular, and WAP stands for Wet Ass Pussy. So to pick Ring Around the Rosie as the song that you're going to have an issue with, see, I have an issue with none of them. The way I look at things like that, or look at things in general, I'm not above being offended. I can be offended, but so what? Who cares? Nobody should have to give a shit if I'm offended. I just won't partake in whatever it is that offends me, and I'll move on. But that doesn't seem to be the way things are done by and large anymore. It's if you're offended, you need to let everyone know that you're offended, and you need to try and find a way to get the offensive thing removed because it hurts your fifis really, really bad. Jill says, I mean, my grandma lives in Cali, just really far away from hippie areas. Yeah, I should point that out, too. That's not all California. And I know that firsthand from not only living in California, but having lived in New York. Same thing. The majority of New York is actually quite conservative. And I know there's huge swaths of area in California that are the same way. It's the major cities where all the wackiness takes place, and so that's what gets all the press. And Hannibal says, yeah, how dare you not care that I'm offended? Exactly. I don't know, when did we get this way, just in general as a people, that people honestly believe if they're offended by something, somebody needs to do something about it. As I said, if you're offended by something, get the fuck over it. Who cares? Who cares if you're offended? Why should we care if you're offended? Now, it's different if you're offended because people have been murdered, killed. There's been horrific, actual horrific crimes committed. But if you're offended over a song, or in this case, if you're offended over a statue, who gives a shit? I'll say the same thing. If Licks is correct and you got right-wing people that are all offended over that statue in Manhattan, get over it. Who cares? Who gives a fuck if you're offended? Is the statue kind of silly? I think so. But it's certainly not offensive to me. I just don't get the point of it. But if you are offended by it, so what? Who cares? Big Purple Pop says corporate culture has supplanted regular consensus. I agree with that. I agree with that. Big Green says, see, this is why I don't talk about the politics of my country, because now I am genuinely pissed off. What happened here? What is going? What is life? Am I dreaming? Why do I smell burnt toast? It's unfortunate, Big Green. I think it's almost like the doom scrolling thing. You know, we get talking about it and we realize just how pissed off we are by the way things have turned. It's truly, it's kind of unfortunate. All right, well, we're almost an hour in. This was a really, really fun first episode. I hope you guys had a good time with me. I hope those of you listening or watching later, I hope you have a good time with it. Please, wherever this is posted, it'll be at YouTube, anyplace else. If you want to comment, please do so. You're welcome to, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, the only comments that get removed are ones that are just unhinged, or I will remove any comment on any of these that's just incorrect information. There's just, if somebody's just going off, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, with a bunch of talking points that are not based in fact, those get removed. But if we get enough comments on them, I don't have time to respond to all the comments. If we get enough comments and interesting comments on a specific topic, I will make a video in later days just responding to those comments. I think it'll be an interesting video for us. But now wait, I promise you there's one last thing I want to show you guys before I say goodbye. And this is just for fun, just for laughs. This kid made me laugh so hard. And again, I know this kind of sucks for those of you who are just listening and can't see. Let me set the stage. This is a little bitty guy, cute as can be, in a car. I don't know if they're going through one of those drive-through safaris or if they're in an area where the wildlife runs free. But first of all, they have a banana up on the dashboard of their car, so it can be seen through the windshield. And there is a monkey on the windshield, like trying to get to the banana. And this is the little guy's response to that. I love this video. This kid is so freaking cute.
Monkey on the car.
Monkey on the car.
Fuck off.
One more time.
Monkey on the car.
Monkey on the car.
Fuck off.
That kid is an absolute legend. I want to. That kid is going to be a fun kid to do anything with. Whatever you want to take him to do, he's going to be a fun time. So British it was, Chrome. So British, but he's so genuine, and like I say, as far as just adorable little dude. And it was fuck off. and Big Green says protester on the road. Fuck off. We might need, you know what, guys? We might need to clip him saying that fuck off. We have, when we do our gaming streams and stuff like that here, we have a system where people can post different interactions to the stream. The gang uses it a lot to torture me, basically. But we might need that fuck off audio. That's that was just fantastic. As J-Dog says, it was weirdly polite. But I got to give Brits credit for that. You guys can say anything and still sound polite. That's always amazed me. You know, you can say whatever, fuck off, eat a dick, whatever you want to say. Brits can say it, and they almost make you want to say, well, thank you, no matter what the context was. That was just perfect. All right, thanks for hanging out with me, you guys. I appreciate this. Hopefully, as I said, you had a good time. Hopefully those who listening, watching after the fact had a good time with this. We're going to do more. If things do well with these, I'll put them on a regular schedule so you guys will know when to be able to come find them. For now, if you want to see the actual recordings, just subscribe to the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Curtis the Spaz Gamer. I'm sorry, that was the original name. It's Spaz Boys Comedy. Just search Spaz Boys Comedy at YouTube. You'll find us. And you can subscribe. hopefully YouTube will send you notifications when we have these streams. But again, if these do well, I will try and put them on a regular schedule. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Thanks for all the great conversation. And I'll talk to you guys again, hopefully really soon.